In this video, I'm going to do something that was requested quite some time ago, but I've just never gotten around to do it. And it's about army deployment. And I'm going to show you how I like to deploy various armies. This is the Burgundian shock army, where you have shock cavalry, you have shock infantry, and you have the all-important skirmish screen in front. Now, the way I like to deploy with the shock army is to keep as wide a frontage as possible. And the reason why is because you are going to take casualties from missiles going in. And taking casualties from missiles to a shock army like this is, of course, disastrous. So you want to limit that as much as possible. Now, I'm going to keep my infantry in front of my cavalry here. There are several ways of doing this, and I'm going to go over them. For skirmishers, normally going as wide as possible like this. With many people ask, well, why do you spread your units so thin, or why do people spread their units so thin? And one of the reasons is because of flanking. So if you're going to be deploying 6 units up front, it's going to take longer, and a unit has to travel further to flank a formation that is this wide compared to flanking a formation that is in a more blocky formation. So this contracts the formation and makes it easier to flank. You also take more damage from missiles. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that in normal skirmish engagements, going spaghetti lines is a good idea. But going loose formation allows you to create your frontage becomes narrower. That's a slight downside. But one of the advantages of doing like this and then putting the skirmishers in the center of the formation is that it's going to take cavalry longer to plow through this line. If I am in a standard formation, one cavalry charge and these units in the back can get hit. If I am in this formation, people are going to be much more wary of charging in. And I'm just going to start the battle here to show you sort of how you advance as well. Because you want to keep your skirmishers at a comfortable distance away from your infantry and cavalry. What this does, in addition to being a great meat shield that slows down enemy units, that allows you to get your units into the enemy units, is that when arrows hit, arrows tend to miss to the front and to the back of a unit. So when projectiles, I'll just pause it here, when projectiles are coming from the front and they are missing, they tend to miss in an area around the unit, roughly like this, because they tend to miss to the front and back, and enemy skirmishers miss to the front. They aim for the center of the unit. So if I keep my cavalry and my infantry too close to my skirmishers, I'm going to take fire from enemy skirmishers, although they're not actually firing on these units. And this is also going to help you to avoid taking fire from superior range troops like Armenian slingers and most archers that have longer range than your scattershot hurlers. Now, you can of course go cavalry in front, because if you go cavalry in front, it's going to be easier for you to respond to enemy cavalry charges and then support with infantry. That's very useful. So going cavalry in front is a very viable option as well. Just remember that if you want to charge an enemy cavalry unit and you have your own infantry in front, you need to run the cavalry in front of the infantry unit and not just hit charge from behind the unit if the enemy cavalry is close, because that means that you're just going to get charged. You're going to charge down your own men. So for the Burgundian shock army and similar armies, this is the way I like to deploy. Very simple, 3 lines, general in the back. He's fairly well protected. He can support where needed. The infantry and cavalry can support each other. The skirmishers work as a meat shield. So either you will get some great shots off, get some skirmishers off the field for the late game with these scatter shots, or the enemy is going to waste charges on scattershot hurlers. Now, there are some armies that are very good at countering this particular Burgundian shock army, and I'm going to take a look at them as well. But there you have it, one of the more simplest triple line deployments that I like to use with this with the Burgundian shock army. But of course, it changes. It changes based on what I see on the opposite side of the battlefield. Strength and honor.